Yes, I'm Kaylee Landau, also with the Enterprise Innovation Institute. Thank you so much for being here today. We're really excited for this third of our Creative Connections events. And we're pleased to have a speaker today that I'm super excited about because I'm a former dancer and he started a dance company that I love to go and see. So please welcome John Welker, the Executive Director and Artistic Director of Terminus Modern Ballet Theater.
Thanks. Thank you, Kaylee. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I love this. This is good stuff. I've been here. I moved here in 1995, originally from Ohio. Came via Salt Lake City, spent a year there, thought it was great, wanted to go, came here, caught home. It's an amazing place, amazing ecosystem. So thank you for being supportive of that ecosystem. It's for people who are passionate like you who make that happen. So I was trained classically since age 10. I've taken modern, I've taken hip hop, I have taken one tap class, was not very good at it. Flamenco, a lot of different types of dance. So the idea of Terminus Modern Ballet Theater, we'll get into it, is to help kind of bring in a lot of these influence and cross-discipline. I know there's a lot of people from cross-disciplines into the creation of new theatrical dance works. So that's kind of the impetus of what we're out to start when we started Terminus. These are my co-founders. These beautiful people helped me, convince me this was a good idea to start this company. I was like, how are we gonna pay ourselves? I was more practical. This is Rachel Van Buskirk, Christian Clark, Heath Gill, Tara Lee. We all worked together at Atlanta Ballet. We spent about 15 to 20 years working together. So we already had an ingrained relationship. We knew how each other thought, and then we thought, oh, Atlanta Ballet's going more traditional. Maybe we can go and find ourselves a space that's being unfulfilled currently in Atlanta. We had all toured around. We knew on a national level what was being presented in larger metropolitan cities, and we didn't see it here in Atlanta. This idea of contemporary ballet through new dance works. So they convinced me 2016. Okay, I was starting business school at the same time, but nonetheless, we got it going. That's when we got to start. $55,000 budget was our seed money, 2016. Today it's 1.2 in 8 years. Pretty good stuff. So this is the company today as it evolved. But 8 years, lots of different guest choreographers. We used a lot of our own talent to do our own world premieres. 28 new works, lots of theater, lots of music in there, lots of new commissions, a lot of performances. We like to give our stuff away to create new audiences. Part of our mission is to create new dance audiences. We want this to become more of a part of people's life, to have it accessible for folks. So we give a lot of these away, reaching a lot of folks around Georgia and across the Southeast here. This is our company today, right here. Christian's still dancing. He was the youngest, well, not the youngest. I call him the LeBron James of the ballet world. He's 42, which is a lot for a ballet dancer. It's a very rigorous profession. Still at it, still amazing. So how did we get here? Back in 2016, I was learning a lot through business school on different business models. I knew from my own experience what different companies did and how they got started. So what's going to set us up for success, for growth? That we're not a project-based company, but we're a company of ongoing concern. So one thing was the planning was already in stage for the next thing, so we could pay ourselves throughout the year and also achieve that mission. So some of the things we considered: LLC, simple to set up, right? Not that hard, right? The barrier to entry was not big, but no philanthropic dollars. There was no revenue potential in that. Now, a lot of dance schools do this model. And if they want those philanthropic models, they use the hybrid model, where a lot of public schools now, they have foundations and nonprofit foundations that help funnel nonprofit dollars into their projects. So that was a possibility. There's only 5 of us. We don't have a lot of experience. Not a thing. Fiscal sponsor. Who knows what a fiscal sponsor is? So it's basically the holder of the nonprofit. So you don't have to hold the nonprofit to be part of a fiscal sponsor, right? You just say, hey, I want to be a part of this. You guys have fiduciary responsibility of this, right? I have my creative freedom to do this project that I want to do. But you got to give them some of your money that you raise. So for those admin costs, I don't know what the rate is now, but when we were looking, there's an annual fee, and then there's about 7 or 8% of your revenue goes back to them to do all the administrative work. But you still have to do the marketing, all that stuff. So if we were a project-based company, this might have been nice. This might have been a good fit. And then there's the 501c nonprofit. This is the toughest one, IRS tax setting to get. It takes a long time, almost 12 months. We wanted to get going sooner than later. And this is the one we actually started with. But I'll get to that a little later. But as far as revenue potential, yes, you get those philanthropic dollars. And you incentivize people to give and to invest in your company and the growth of the company through tax incentives. Hybrid, a little bit between. These have become more and more popular. For-profit, there's the B Corp. Think Tom's, think Patagonia. These guys, it's a for-profit business. They're in the business to make money, but there is a social good element to it. Social enterprise, it's the same as B Corp. They're not interchangeable, though. There's a legal structure to the B Corp. This is kind of still a privately held company. You kind of set your own pace. Think something like, what's a good example of this one? Newman's Own. You see that in the grocery stores where they donate all their kind of profits to charities they support. That's a social enterprise. Still for profit, but funneling out. Woodruff Arts Center model. Do you know how the Woodruff Arts Center is set up? Who knows? This is the 3rd largest arts center in the United States. There's the Lincoln Center, there's Kennedy Center, and then here in Atlanta, there's the Woodruff Arts Center. This is a very interesting model. Very much like the fiscal sponsor, there's an umbrella organization that holds your nonprofit status, right? But there's a difference between this and this. You don't pay out any of that, right? There's an umbrella, and they actually pay you to help fulfill their mission. So they bring you on. They have the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, right, underneath the Woodruff Arts Center. They have the High Museum, and they have the Alliance Theater. And so a lot of the donations, as we know, Douglas Scott knows, a lot of the corporate dollars go to the Woodruff Arts Center, right? And then they disperse, depending on the need, those funds into the symphony, the High Museum, that. And they have artistic freedom to do what they want. So they can focus a little bit more on the art making and less on the admin. So there's supportive structure. The governance model is such that they have the governing board of directors, which is at this level, and then they have advisory boards that help to run each of the sections. So they got an advisory board for High Museum, they got one for Alliance and the Symphony. And some of those members serve on the governance board. So there's overlap. So it's more of a closer relationship between that. So this checked all the boxes for us. And so this is the model we went with. That's where our relationship and our oldest surviving partnership with Serenbe, the community of Serenbe, takes place, where they pay us to help fulfill their mission. And it's changed and has evolved, and we'll go through that a little bit later. But that's the Arts Center model. It's a pretty unique model inside that. And there's a myriad of other hybrid models that are available for any organization that wishes to do the work and do the process, and not have to bear all the administrative weight of that work. So, give you a little snapshot of our finances back in 2023. We achieved $1 million budget for the first time, 2023. Anyone here in the nonprofit know earned revenue, unearned revenue, right? Earned revenue sources are our theatrical dance performances in terms of tickets and performance fees, classes and workshops for education. So that represented 35% of the $1 million budget of our revenue. Kind of that. And then earned revenue, that's grants, that's foundation, that's charitable giving from individuals, foundations, public funding. 65%. Ideally, you want 40-60 ratio. So we were able to achieve that in 2023, and this year we're hoping to get 47% earned revenue to the remainder unearned. It's pretty good. We're doing it. Here's the thing about dance. It's expensive, it's slow, and it's labor intensive. So you can't scale up the economies of scale very easily. It does not work that way in a business sense. You're creating art too, right? You want it to be good. You compete on a level of quality. Quality takes time. Dancers take time. New works take time. Dance is unique because it doesn't have a script. It doesn't have a score. It doesn't have authorship in terms of a new writing, right? You're kind of creating it collaboratively together in the studio in real time. So not the most efficient. Of that 35%, 60 was education. And then 40% of that 35% was dance performances. And here we go. Most of it was individuals who gave to us. We're a new company. It takes time to establish trust, especially with foundations, corporate sponsors. And this is where most of our money goes, to doing these two things, these three things right here. Most of it's towards our program. So we work very efficiently. It just takes time. So I had fun putting this together. Anyone who works in the nonprofit world can commiserate with this. You know, if we think of it as like the stock market index, right? This is the ride you're on from month to month. This is say, oh, we have $20,000 in the bank. Okay, so we got a show in October. We got a show in December, February, June. This goes to your, Doug, to your question, right? So we got to ramp up. We got to raise money. We spend those monies. We get ticket sales back, but we're not getting all the things back. We're actually spending more than we're bringing in. And vice versa, from month to month. It's a ride, right? Anyone can see that. So how do we, as a new organization, establish trust on a business level? We're confident about our products. Good. So this is how we did it. This is how, if you can imagine taking that and then straightening it out like this, as much as possible, be as stable as possible so we can get paid, we can have health care, all the things, we can put food on the table, right? So net zero productions, that became a kind of mantra for us. If this production is going to cost us $30,000, we need $30,000 to ticket sales. That's it. Simple math. If we're spending $40,000, we need $40,000 in ticket sales, right? So many of our productions in outset were $20,000. That's how we started. Full-length productions, $20,000. That's like pennies. A lot of beg and borrowing, a lot of favors, right? So that was the first 3 years. Partnerships, horizontal integration. I see this as we got to do the work, but if we can bring on partners to help us do that work. So that was one of the benefits of the relationship with Sarah. Not only did they pay us, and they held fiduciary responsibility, but they also did a lot of the marketing work. They did a lot of the legal. They did some of the governance. They did payroll. They did insurance, right? So they did all that. So we could focus a little more on the work and not get stuck in the weeds of all the admin stuff. But we did do a lot of admin. There was a lot of learning going on. We formed a partnership with Kennesaw State University. They have a great department of dance, fast growing of dance. So they had a ready-born audience. So we taught them master classes throughout the year during their dance department, and then they gave us a theater for free to do a show, which is a huge deal. A theater would cost about $20,000 just to rent the space. That's not any of the other costs involved. So that was a big deal. So that was another really great partnership. We got marketing, cross-marketing support. We got a free theater, put on a show. Ticket sales were bonus. It was a lot easier to break even in that equation. That's still today. And then we formed a school, backwards integration. We're teaching the talent we want in the company. So we don't have to go searching. We don't have to have auditions. We're teaching from our school. Our professional dancers are actually teaching the next generation that's actually going to fill their spot when they're done. So that was huge for us too. So we have an incredible school of crops, lots of talent coming up through the school. What's great is that we can pick talent and then we can put them on main stage company productions. So they're getting performance experience, real performance experience. So backwards integration with the school, that was huge. And also that cash flow, this is it right here. This helps to stabilize the company and all that raising, spending. You have a constant stream of income coming through the company at all times. So here's the school. We started the company operations in 2017. We started the school in 2018. We started at the Westside Cultural Arts Center. Today we're at the Tula Arts Center in Lower Buckhead. We teach 1,400 students there a year, over 2,500 classes. We have open adult classes, We have ladies in there just killing it, aged 80. Amazing. They're doing stuff I wouldn't try now. It's amazing. We want it. It's important. It takes time to create a ballet dancer and a professionally trained dancer. It needs to be accessible. So through that, we're able to fund a lot of scholarships and awards to help everyone participate and be a part of this. So we have a student company program. We have a catalyst program. We have a primary program for itty bitties ages 3, intermediate levels, advanced levels, protege level, which is the bridge between the school and the company. It's an apprenticeship. And then we have summer intensives that we just started yesterday, and then open adult classes. So that's it. You know, necessity is the mother of invention. Let's switch that out. Creativity. We're in the industry of creativity. In a nutshell, this is what we do. This is why we like cross-collaborative, because we're all in the creative industry.
Thank you. That was a great overview of kind of how you got started. A couple of things I thought were really interesting is, first of all, you looked around and you saw that there wasn't a lot of contemporary dance in Atlanta, but you chose to start contemporary dance in Atlanta. Do you think that has been a benefit, or has that been a challenge?
Well, I think the niche that we really, I think is definitely a benefit, and the one that we saw, you know, the opportunity. But the niche we saw specifically was contemporary dance with a ballet focus, right? So there's, you know, I think in terms of the audience and what they were seeing in Atlanta, but just different than what was going to be presented to them, and that, you know, Atlanta Ballet wasn't going to be doing that work because they were previously doing that work in the contemporary. They're kind of following a more contemporary dance model. We saw them going to the more the classical ballet model, you know, your Swan Lakes, you know, Nutcrackers, you know, all those things that were created hundreds of years ago. But we wanted to speak to an audience that wanted to speak on their terms, that meant something to them in the present day. Yep.
Do you feel like you've had to educate your audiences on your style, or how you fit into that?
Yeah, good question. I think it works both ways. It's like a two-way street, because we're educating ourselves while trying to educate our audience. Because starting out, you know, this is all in hindsight, what I just gave, you know, but you know, one day you wake up, the house is on fire. Right? Right? You thought you had it under control. Your head hit the pillow, oh, I'm sleeping good. Wake up, first thing you see, oh no, that's not good, right? And so in hindsight, it's like, yeah, I don't have to sweat as much, but when you're in it and you're making these choices, it's real, you know, because you know there's going to be repercussions down in it. So yeah, it's a little bit of both, you know. We're educating ourselves on who we are and what we're capable of, but also trying to put our best foot forward and say, this is what you can expect from, you know, the company in terms of what we're doing.
Yeah. I also noticed you mentioned, making your performances net zero and being very efficient. How do you do that in a way that you don't sacrifice the quality of your performance?
All those amazing co-founders, is blood, sweat, and tears, those guys, because they were dancers, and one of the benefits we had 2 very talented choreographers in that group, Heath and Tara. Tara's still creating for us. So a lot of the new works that we created were them creating on that company. And I mentioned that we knew and worked with each other for 15, 20 years prior. So there was a creative rapport where if we were in the room together and someone was a fly on the wall, there was not a lot being said, but there was a ton being communicated, because we were kind of already reading each other in a way that, so, oh, I know what you're thinking. I know what the aesthetic you're kind of looking for. Or it was having the trust to be like, can we try this? I think this would work really well here because, and then we could do it. We had a sort of trust creative system that we had down packed that allowed us a head start on that net zero idea goal, you know.
Yeah, because you had internal resources that, you could pull from.
Yep.
But we talked about partnerships, and it sounds like the one you had with Kennesaw State has been really beneficial. How did that come about? Are you out looking for partners, or have you just met people along the way?
Yeah, a little bit of both. You know, a lot of what, when you're starting out, like you realize there's more opportunity than you have time for. Right? There's just so much available. The hard part is just knowing where am I going to put my energy that's going to give dividends and returns later? And so I was an alumni, and I am an alumni of Kennesaw. So I got my undergraduate degree in dance at Kennesaw, and then I got my business degree, my MBA from Kennesaw. So naturally, there was already an established connection and a sort of established relationship with the staff, and so it was an easy trust. Like, we see what you do, we want to support that. You're an alumni, so by supporting you, we're extending our influence in the dance ecosystem as well.
I know you mentioned briefly your partnership with Serenbe, and I think that was sort of that model, like the Woodruff Art Center model, right?
So they based their...
But that's changed over time. So how did that come about? And, are there things you wish you had done differently during that time period?
Yeah, any partnership, any collaboration, there's a give and take of control. So one of the things that I wish I saw a little more in advance, is that the scales of control were moving away from us, more towards the umbrella organization, right? And that was not because I think on an intentional effort, is because relationships were the kind of the girder that were holding that up. And they had leadership change in which levels of control, they're trying, as the relationships dissolved in good faith, then the levels of control came tighter. And we started to have a little less artistic freedom. I think when I look back in hindsight, I should have seen the writing on the wall a little sooner. But essentially, as the relationships devolved, we devolved and we headed to a different direction that they wanted to go. And so we ended our relationship in 2021. And that's when we formed our own independent 501c3. So that's when we reestablished our own organization kind of as we continued operations, and then revamped up everything. And then reformed and reestablished a new relationship with Serenbe that still allowed us to retain artistic freedom that we desired, and that was kind of the benefit of the original intention in the first place.
Yeah, so you're still performing there. It's
Absolutely,
just a different
100%.
relationship.
It's more of a fee for service, pretty straightforward. We're gonna bring you out. We want you to do X, Y, and Z. Here's the space, and we say this is the performance fee. So what's going to cost.
So it's just kind of evolved over time, as your company has evolved as well, and what their leadership has changed. So, also wanted to talk a little bit about your MBA at Kennesaw State. I know a lot of that probably came in handy. Do you want to talk about how those business skills transferred to the arts world?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I did know I was at such an age. It's like, if I didn't go back to school, I was never going to go back to school. So I took advantage of that moment. But yeah, I immediately was able to apply skills being learned on the MBA level, because we started operations when I started my MBA path. So it kind of paralleled each other, and I could immediately, and a lot of that was just relationship building. So I was in a room full, there was only me and another gentleman with the Atlanta Opera who were based in the art world. Everyone else was corporate world. You got your Coca-Colas in there. You got your Equifax folks in there. You got, UPS folks in there. You got your Chick-fil-A folks in there. And then here we are like, oh, this is different. So I think the biggest takeaway for me is that you were assigned a group at the start of this 19th month program. And that was your group for the entirety so you had to learn to work together. And we were assigned in such a way that each person had their own discipline skill. Some were good in finance, some were good in government, some were managerial, some were project management. And so I don't know what they thought my skill was, but I ended up with a group of real smart folks and a lot of strong heads. So we had to learn how to work together, how to build a team that allowed us to not just survive, but thrive inside that program.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That was the biggest transferable skill, because I was seeing, okay, we're having the same problems at Terminus that we're having as a team here now. I was like, how do we get through this? There's light at the end of the tunnel, and we were able to get through there.
Yeah, that's great. Because a lot of the work that we're doing is trying to take the, business innovation, entrepreneurship skills that we teach to others and apply it to the arts. Do you think there is a difference in how you run an arts organization versus a business?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we talked a lot when we started Terminus was there's in a traditional dance model in an organization, you got your admin and you got your creative team, and there's not much mixing. There's not much between cross, and not much communication either. So we were in it. We're doing a lot of all the same work, and that's actually still true today. Whereas a lot of the dancers are doing a lot of the admin work. We're trying to kind of back ourselves out of it. But one of the strengths that we had is that we were able to pivot so fast than a more established, because we're all doing the same work, and there had to be we could pivot on a dime, like this is not working. How do we do? Boom. We just took one meeting and then we switched directions immediately. There wasn't 60 or 70 emails trying to figure it out because we're all kind of going through the same fire together. And so I think one of the things that as we grow, the challenge is how do we maintain that sort of flexibility and agileness as an organization, that we can kind of steer the organization in such a way that, because growth is not linear, as we know, doesn't follow the same path. It's all over the place. Some days you feel like you're winning. Some days you can barely get out of bed. You're like, I don't know. Can't face the day to day. It's going to be rough. Yeah. So that's one of the things we're trying to figure out as we kind of build and how we find that spirit of collaboration internally, not just externally in the products that we do, but internally in a business sense.
Yeah. And be able to keep that communication going just with more people and more growth. So, I think
add to something like that real quick.
Yeah.
So one of the things is that we discussed too is that you establish your mission, your vision, and your values, right? And one thing that has become so clear to me, I was never a numbers guy. I'm still not, but I'm much better now. I'm much more practiced. Is that wherever you decide to spend those dollars, especially in level of scarcity, as in the arts, that's where your values must lie. So that's your compass. That's your guiding compass. If that's you put your dollars where your values are. Not just the mission and vision, but like living out those values as an organization. If you have, this is an opportunity. This is what's more in line. Where do we want to put our resources, time, value, money, in that? And typically, that'll tell you the answer right there.
Yeah, because I always say, and I'm always worried I'm in it backwards, but I think it's you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And I think a lot of people, especially starting out, you want to take every opportunity, but you just only have so much time and energy in a day. Right?
Time is really the most valuable resource. Yeah. It really is.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, y'all, for being here too.
Yeah.